We tend to work with only 5 or 6 high-performing people at any one point in time because it's really hard work. It's very intensive time. We don't offer a lot of programs like some organisations where we do an hour a week for so many weeks. We do whatever that individual needs at that point in time. So generally we only work with half a dozen. Of that half a dozen, there may be 3 or 4 people from business and 1 or 2 people either from media or from sports at a time. We offer a range of coaching services mainly for our high-performing individuals, whether that be in sport, media or mostly business. Well, it was getting fed up with the corporate world, realising there are different ways of doing things. The coaching bit's sort of grown on its own. We don't advertise it, we don't promote it, people tend to find us. We've got a fairly unique place in the market, so we don't advertise, people come to us because of what we do with certain individuals, so it's all word of mouth. Oh, definitely. I mean, I've actually sacked a client who wouldn't do the exercises and work that they needed to do. I mean, it was a great moneymaker for me, but he was supposedly a high performer in a sport, wasn't really putting in the mental effort. He kept claiming that he was going down the gym, he was doing all of his fitness stuff, but he wasn't doing his mental rehearsals, he wasn't doing his mental practice. And I didn't want to be associated with somebody that was just coming second, third and fourth all the time, because he was paying me to become first, but he wasn't prepared to put the effort in. I can't put effort in for him. All I can do is provide him with the environment and give him techniques that will help that individual at that point in time. But if they're not going to put the work in, it's not going to happen. Grow's quite good. There's lots of other models, catch up, tools. There are lots of acronyms out there, and 1,000,001. And an acronym is only an aid memoir. It's only something to help the coach remember what it is that they're supposed to be doing at a point in time, taking the client through a process. So it's about what process do you need to take the individual through. There are lots of other tools. For instance, I quite often use hypnosis with high performers. It's not that I put them on the couch and send them into deep trance. Don't do that. What I found is that there's certain types of language patterns, certain ways of using words to help encourage people to make the decisions that they're going to make faster. If you like, to give them permission in a different way. So I will quite often use that, and I've found that rather than having 3 or 4 sessions, I can get the job done quite often in 1 session. So unlike a lot of coaches, I don't sign people up for 6, 10, 12 coaching sessions. What I say is, my process is, look, we'll meet up, we'll have 1 session. Let's find out first of all, are we going to get on with each other? Can we trust each other? Where no coaching really occurs, we just chat and say, well, is this going to work? Isn't it going to work? From there on in, we then go into the sessions, and I'll just we'll perhaps schedule 1, maybe 2, and then it depends what happens. They need to feel in a good place. So if they're confident with where they are, then actually I can do a lot more with them than if they're somewhere that's insecure for whatever reason. So wherever they're comfortable, providing I can hear them, and providing it's an environment where they can talk candidly. So I mentioned using coffee shops. It'll be a coffee shop away from their office, so that way we don't bump into people that they know, or a pub or a walk, whatever. So it's more important that they feel that they can talk openly. And if you can do that, then you're 90% there, really. I build the rapport and relationship with a potential client and find out what it is that they want to do. I suppose the one method I use is goal setting. What is it that they want to achieve? How will they know that they're being successful? That's the sort of formula that I do use. Quite how I get there might be different with each person, but if you haven't got a clear goal, then there's no point in having a coaching relationship. I now only work with 1 person, so having a formula can be quite dangerous, because if you're following the formula, sometimes you're not necessarily then in the here and now. So that doesn't always work, so it's a bit of a shame, really. I don't work to 1 school of coaching. I've had the training from a number of different schools, and I've been trained in a range of different psychological backgrounds, whether it be cognitive-based therapy, hypnosis, a lot of Gestalt, and various other transactional analysis, various other underpinning theories. And I try and use the models and descriptors that are right for the client, or right for the person, or right for the situation. I don't assume that there's a single way of doing things. It's about what works for that person. Whether I believe in that model or not doesn't actually matter. Does it seem right for that person? Where are they coming from? If they've been into NLP and they believe NLP, then use NLP type language. If they hate NLP, then you don't use any of that and use some other stuff. Use what is likely to work. It's a bit like somebody building a cabinet or doing some DIY. You've got to use the right tool for the job. Sometimes you can bodge things a little bit and you can go so far, but then sooner or later you're going to come unstuck. So it really is about being flexible, adaptable, just using whatever is right for that person at that point in time. Some of the biggest challenges really is about, how you can build rapport with that person, knowing where they're going to and what it is that they're doing, and keeping on with that, and also making sure that you're delivering the same pace as they require. It's really easy for a coach sometimes to be too fast or too slow for a client in terms of how they're working towards their goals. Perhaps even sometimes working too superficially. So it's about working as deep as the client needs it in order for that change to be sustainable. Because what we're talking about here is about people's habits and psychological behaviours. So therefore, if we don't get things right for that individual, it won't be sustainable. They'll do it once, but it won't be there forever. And our goal as a coach is to give them tools that are repeatable, to give them solutions and success that's repeatable.